All right, now I want to talk about removing barriers to success. All right, there are lots of barriers that we face and things that we can do to remove those barriers, and we need to try to make this as easy as possible. All right, it's a hard thing to do. Changing your life, changing your diet, changing the way you eat entirely, it is a hard thing to do. Right, it takes effort, it takes energy, and it's a good idea to remove barriers wherever we can. Now, number one barrier is having food in the house that you shouldn't eat. All right, if at all possible, then you should just get rid of everything. Don't just chuck it in the bin. Chuck it out. Get rid of chocolate, cake, donuts, junk fried food that you got in the freezer, whatever. Just chuck it in the bin. Get rid of it. Don't wait and try to find someone to donate it to, because you're just only donating poison to people anyway. So you're not doing anyone a favour by giving them junk food. So don't hang on to it. Get rid of it. Get it out of the house, and don't have it around. All right. If that's one barrier to success gone. All right. If you can't do that, if you live in a shared house environment or you live with family who insist on having certain food items around, I don't recommend that you force your way of eating on anyone. You say, well, stuff that, I'm getting rid of it anyway, you guys are going to have to deal with it. I don't recommend that. It's you got to try to keep your relationships good and solid, and don't try to don't jeopardize your relationships by forcing those changes on people. What another strategy you could do in that situation though is you could devote one shelf on the freezer and one bit of cupboard space to be, that's where the junk food goes. That's where the food that you can't eat goes. And that's a no-go zone for you. Other people can go there and get it, but that's a no-go zone for you. You're going to get a warning sign. You're going to put it on that shelf of the freezer. And for me, it would say, or the fridge or the freezer, for me, it would say, Andrew, don't eat this. Big light, big letters. Don't be stupid, Andrew. Something like that. All right? Put it on the cupboard, put it on the shelf in the freezer, put it on the shelf in the fridge, so that it's a reminder. It's that one last barrier to stop you from eating that stuff. All right, to hopefully give you a reminder and make you think twice before you go and get that. All right, so there's a download that you can download a sheet below, and it's a warning sheet that you can just download that and stick it up if you want, or you can make your own. All right, but anyway, it's important, however it is, to adjust your environment however you can to make it harder for you to get to foods that you shouldn't eat. If you can't get foods totally out of your house, like I described in the first example, and that's me, I can't do that because I don't want to force my way of eating on my wife and my kid. There is chocolate in the freezer. It's all on one little shelf at the top of the door, and I just don't look at that. I can see it if I open the fridge. If I want to look, it's there, but that shelf is off limits to me. All right, it's really important that you make sure that you segregate the bad foods. I think at the very least, if you can't get rid of them. Now, if you can't get rid of them, if you do have to have foods in your house like I do, see it as a challenge to embrace. Don't see it as like, oh, I can't do this because I can't get rid of food. See it as a challenge to embrace. All right? Because as we've talked about before, every time you can resist a craving, every time you can resist an urge, every time you can resist the pull of bad foods, it makes the muscle stronger. All right? If you don't have these foods in your house, then it's easy to these urges and cravings don't come up as often because you don't see them. If you do have them in your house, look at it as an opportunity to practice. All right, every time you come in contact with or see foods that you shouldn't be eating or know that they're around, it's an opportunity to strengthen your resistance muscle. All right, don't look at it as a negative, like, oh, woe is me, I've got all this bad stuff around and it makes my life so hard. It's an opportunity to practice and get better at resisting cravings and resisting junk food. All right, so you need to try to see it that way. And I'm sure you can use some of the other tips we've talked about as well, where you can, instead of thinking, oh, what if I give in to this junk food, you can think about, well, what if I succeed in saying no to it? All right, some other barriers to success that people talk about is that people want to eat only organic potatoes. I want to do this, but I can't find organic potatoes anywhere. What am I going to do about that? All right. Organics, first of all, I think organic potatoes are best. If you can get organic potatoes, that's great. I don't always eat organic potatoes though. All right, what we're talking about here is, let's say organic potatoes get you an A+ on the test of what's good. Organic potatoes get you an A+. They're the best. All right, I don't want to argue that point. Organic potatoes are great. They're the best. All right, but if you can't get an A+ on the test, does that mean you should just give up and go for an F? Just, oh, whatever, I can't get an A+, so what's the point in even trying? Or should you just get conventionally grown potatoes and get an A and be happy with that? Because an A is really good. Most people I know are pretty happy if they get an A on a test. And you can get that every day by getting conventional potatoes. A+ for organic, A for conventional. Still a great result, and it's going to mean that you're going to get super healthy and you're going to get super fit and you're going to change the way you think about food and all of that. It's all still going to happen. But if you can't afford organic potatoes, or if there's no stores near you that sell organic potatoes, or if, just relax. It's not a big deal. All right. So that's another barrier to success to remove. If you can't get organic potatoes, that's okay. That doesn't mean you just opt to just chuck everything out and forget about it. Okay. Nightshade allergies are another barrier that people talk about, that they have trouble with potatoes because they have nightshade allergies. That's I hear about that not often, but I do hear about that. And I've worked with a few people that have had nightshade allergies. All right, here is the way to deal with that I've helped people to do quite a few times, and it's worked well. The first thing is, for the first 2 weeks, you eat only sweet potatoes because they're not a nightshade. All right, they're not going to give you your allergic reactions. So 2 weeks of sweet potatoes, and then that allows your body to reset, your digestive system to reset. And after 2 weeks, you should be able to find that bit by bit, you should be able to add normal potatoes, which are nightshades, slowly add them more and more back into your diet, and you should be able to do it with no problem. All right, so if nightshade allergies are a problem for you, then go for that. All right, another barrier to success is cooking for other people. A lot of people I talk to, they're keen on doing the Spud Fit Challenge, but they're not sure how they're going to handle it when they have to cook for other people. So I get it, that's hard. There are single parents out there that have to cook for their kids. They've got no way around it. Their kids are toddlers. You can't really ask your toddler to do the cooking, right? If you can ask somebody to do the cooking for you, you might have some older kids that are able to cook for themselves. You might have a husband or a wife that's able to cook for themselves. You might, whatever the situation, if you can ask for someone else to do the cooking for themselves, that's what I do. And again, we go back to explaining things properly. Be open and honest. Explain why this is important and how it's going to help, and how this person's help in this situation by cooking for themselves could really, let's not overstate things, but could be a life and death thing for you. It could be that helpful that it totally turns your life around, and we really need your help for a while to cook your own food. If that option's not available to you and you're a single parent with young children who can't cook for themselves, then again, you need to, I think, look at it as a challenge to be embraced. All right, every time that you can cook for somebody else and not give in and eat the food yourself, you're building that resistance muscle. All right, it's another challenge that you can embrace. You can use that to build your resistance muscle and try to work on that and use it as a way to make yourself stronger. Every time you can cook for someone else and not eat the food that you're cooking, you've made yourself stronger, and that's a really cool thing to realize after every time you've made a meal. All right, so remove barriers to success, keep it simple, and try to make this as easy as possible for yourself. Don't forget to download the sheet and make a warning sign for your cupboards and shelves of bad food.